Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Stretch the Sketch, which I'm combining today with Scraptember 2023, brought to you by Scrappy Sisters and Laura Alberts. Today's prompt is something new, and I am using a sketch from Dusty Addict for today's layout. I am going to stretch it, or actually shrink it, from a 12 by 12 down to an 8.5 by 11, and you're going to get two 8.5 by 11s from me today because I'm doing them back to back. And my something new item is some fibers that I have from MK's shop, and I think they're under her favorites, her favorite fibers, and they're not super new. I've had them a few. Well, I got them earlier in 2023, so they're not super brand new, but they're not old. All of these other papers, on the other hand, are super old. I think some of them are possibly from One Canoe 2, which is no longer even in business doing scrapbooking paper at all, so they're very old. But I am working on my album out of our homeschool trip to Santa Cruz Island, and I was working on this last spring trying to get it finished up, and I never did. I didn't finish it up, and so I'm gonna try and just work on it here and there and not forget about it like I have been for the last few months. So I am fussy cutting out all of these florals. I really like these. I think they're super beautiful. I don't know actually what paper this particular one is or where it's from, but I do believe the goldenrod looking papers there are from One Canoe 2. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut these out, fussy cut them. It takes me a bit of time. I don't make you sit through all of it, but I did leave on camera some of the fussy cutting. The big trick to fussy cutting is you're not really moving your scissors back and forth. You're moving the paper, and your primary goal with the scissors is to open and shut them, not to twist them around the paper. So moving the paper really helps. So I've got that whole pile fussy cut over to the right hand side. I just have like one little piece left over that is not fussy cut, and it's really just a portion of the leaves that are coming in from the edge of the paper, and I will end up using that later, but at this point in time I did all of the big flowers. So I am doing two 8.5 by 11s, so I'm cutting down my paper rather than using it as a background sheet, because I don't want I want to make sure I have enough for both sides of this kind of red paper to have a strip on each side. And if I used 8.5 by 11, I wouldn't have enough for the opposite side. So just using a white piece of cardstock in the background to have that as my base, and then trimming these other pieces to fit. Now I don't want that red piece to be centered right down the middle. It's going to be offset a little bit to the left. And I am distressing the edges, and then I am going to use that fiber, and I'm going to tuck it under this red paper, so a little bit of it is peeking out on each side. Now I happen to have a whole roll of this, which is one of MK's favorite fibers. I did have a smaller piece that came in the box, but I ended up being able to get a whole roll of it, so I don't even actually know that it's a whole roll, but it's quite a bit of it. So, because I really love it too. So I was like, I need more of that. And I'm really happy to have that on hand. So I just cut it down the center so that I would only use this 8.5, well, about a 12 and a half inch piece rather than two of them, because I really just want the frayed edges sticking out, and I got the frayed edges by cutting it in half. It does have that nice white edge along the two outer edges of it, but now I've kind of flipped them in reverse, so the white edges are tucked under and the frayed edges are sticking out, just to give this layout a little bit more texture. So what I am documenting here is this little church that is, or chapel that is on Santa Cruz Island. It's situated in the valley, and it was built in the late 1800s, I believe. And I think there was a large period of time where Mass was not said. It's a Catholic chapel, but Mass was not said there for a number of years, but then it was brought back to life, I guess. Maybe that's the right way to say it. After I think the property was sold, and they still have mass said there. I think it's at the beginning of May. They have a service, and that's kind of unusual because really there's only like 7 or 8 people who live on this island. My uncle is one of them, and so it's not like there's a lot of people out there that it has to service, and it's kind of just a tradition. And we were able to go and visit it with the kids because there's a lot of history in the building, and it was really just super neat to go and check out. I had never actually been in the inside of it, and I've been out to the island several times for family events and to visit my uncle and such, but I had never been inside the chapel. So this was kind of a really cool experience for me as well, because I got to see something new and different, and it was cool. So it is called Chapel of the Holy Cross, and so I'm just using these stickers to spell out Holy Cross, and then I'm going to use these white ones to put Chapel of the, and I'm going to use an alcohol marker. Actually, I'm going to use a Sharpie because my alcohol markers are next door at my mom's house, and a Sharpie is an alcohol marker, so I'm just going to use it in like a gray color, and I'm going to blend with my finger over the top of the foam so that it kind of has a little bit of a smudgy look, I guess is the right word for it. I could have left them white, but I kind of liked them a little bit smudgy and a little bit different, so that's what I decided to go with. And I just tucked those flowers in to the 2 sides of the photograph, which is very much like the sketch. Now, I didn't do the horizontal stripe. I did the vertical stripe on this side, and when I flip it over, the other side is going to have a vertical, I did a vertical stripe on this side. I'm going to do a horizontal stripe on the other side. So that is how I took my inspiration, and I kind of just reversed where the title is from where it is on the sketch, and I'm really liking the way that it's looking. I chose to use the silver letters because that background paper has a metallic silver coating on those little flowers, and so I thought that would work well. And I think it does a good job. I think I'm going to actually do some splatters, possibly in gold and silver, if I remember correctly. And I am tucking a few different tickets and stamps and such up into the top here to just create a very small third little cluster to give a little bit of a third triangle, or a visual triangle. So now I've flipped it over. Actually, I think I went and got a second piece of paper because I don't really like to do these things back to back. I thought about using more of that silver foiled paper, but I ended up going with the striped one because the silver foiled one I didn't have enough of, and if I cut it, I'd have to try and piece it together, and I didn't think that would look very good. So I'm going with this other goldenrod one. It's from the same collection, and I'm having my stripes go vertically on that goldenrod one and horizontally on my red one, and I really like the way that looks. And I'm going to do the same treatment with this fiber. It's not really a ribbon, it's a fiber, and I really like it, and I think it's going to work really well. On this side too, just draw the same inspiration and the 2 sides together. I didn't feel like I needed a double page layout for this, but I had more photos than would fit on an 8.5 by 11, and even on a 12 by 12 I thought it would be kind of tight. I was able to trim 2 of the photos down to 4 by 4s, but the other 2 are, I think I did trim them down to like 5.5 by 3 3/4 or 3.5 or something like that. So they're not true by 4 by 6, but they're definitely, they've got to be 4 inches tall because I'm pretty sure I left them the same height. I'm looking at it there to see if they're the same height. Anyway, they are trimmed down on the sides because I didn't want them to be super wide, and maybe a 1/4 inch top to bottom. And again, I'm just layering up these flowers and tucking them under, and I think it's really worth noting that none of only I think only the two bottom right flowers there are complete intact all the way around. The other ones all have edges cut out of them, even the ones on the flip side of this layout. And so don't feel like you've got to have an entire sheet of florals that are 100% all the way around them. Use those pieces that have those flat edges and tuck them in. Nobody's ever going to know. Nobody's going to be peeling up your photograph to check and see if they're full flowers when they flip through your album or anything like that. And you can definitely get a lot of mileage out of these ones that just have pieces cut off of them. Now here you can see that little black piece of paper there. That is all I had left, and those little sprigs that are sticking or that are showing on it, I'm going to cut those off and tuck them into my third little triangular cluster here. And it's just to soften up those tickets and stamps and to bring a little foliage up to this top piece and a little bit more of the other colors that are involved in the other clusters. And so I'm really liking the way that that looks. I think it's going to just finish it off nicely, and you get a really good view of that textured edge there. I'm just adding a little bit of liquid glue where the red is kind of peeled up, and not really peeled up, but not securely fastened because of that texture. Now, when I did put the texture on, I put glue on both sides of it so that it would stick to the background and to the red. And there I've done a little bit of silver splatter. I thought I came back in with some gold splatter to finish it off. Oh, maybe not. I guess I did not. And that is it, you guys. I do a bunch of journaling on this particular layout. You don't really see it here because I did it off camera. And just going to do it underneath where it says Chapel of the Holy Cross and underneath that photograph. That is it, you guys. Don't forget to check out the Scrappy Sisters and Laura Alberts and see what they're doing today. There's a playlist down below for everyone playing along with Scraptember, and there is a playlist, or there are links down below for everyone playing along with Stretch the Sketch. So go and check them out as well and see what they've done with this sketch today and how they've either shrunk it or stretched it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.